As always, we have the handsome, the talented, the very lively Mr. Paul McClane from Radio World, who's going to tell us what he expects to see over the next few days.
Good morning. Thank you so much. It's truly a privilege to be invited, and I mean that sincerely, to sprinkle you with a little of what's going on in my head all the time, which sometimes feels like nonsense to me. Let's see if this is working here. That's good. Excellent. Fabulous to see you. It's going to be a good show. I have a good feeling about it. The Las Vegas Convention Center has moved into the next, I love playing with these tools. I can't stop myself. Last year I had a drone. This year I found a bumblebee. I did find a velociraptor. I thought about putting that in there. This is the first and largest event that will take place while Central Hall is closed for about a year. We will get a new look at the first look at the new North Hall. Main registration is in West. Most of the radio companies can be found in West or Central. Next year, there will be an effort to consolidate or reconsolidate the radio booths to an area in the Central Hall, the new Central Hall. So exhibitors have been doing their booth selection for that. Q has just released its 2025 in-vehicle visuals report. This is the second year in which the technology company has conducted a study of dashboards in the top 100 selling car models in the United States. There's a key finding: 74% of these models are what the company has labeled audio forward, which means they have an audio media button and they default when the car starts up to whatever was playing when you last turned off the car. By contrast, about 26% of new models are radio forward, meaning they open automatically to radio or they have a dedicated radio button. That number is down from 36% just a year ago. Radio's getting harder to find in cars. In this context, Steve Newberry, who's here, and you'll meet him in a little bit, says it's important for programmers to take this into consideration. How do you get radio to be that last touch before you turn off the car? It's a different way of thinking than just putting all your emphasis on the morning show. You may remember how excited I was by the photos in this report last year, and I consider it a great contribution that any one of us can go in at no cost and see how our radio station would look on a 25 Acura RDX or a Honda Accord or a VW Jetta. Here's a Honda dashboard display. The station branding is showing up right there in front of the driver on the left there, and we're seeing more and more of that exact placement. You'll also hear a little bit about a partnership today between Nautel and Q that has to do with visual radio. I will not spoil the surprise on that. NAB filed a petition this week urging the FCC to allow radio stations to use EAS software encoders and decoders instead of those legacy EAS boxes we all know so well. The NAB has been pushing for this issue for 2 years, even taking the FCC staff on a station tour to learn about it. But this request has taken on more urgency now because one of the 2 remaining EAS device vendors recently announced it would cease production of its EAS hardware. You may recall that the other one, Digital Alert Systems, was here last year talking about their approach called EAS at the Edge. And there's a couple of different ways of approaching this problem out there. The NAB acknowledged that and says that its approach is similar, but the NAB disagrees with the EAS and some of the specifics, saying that the EAS approach still relies on a physical device. The NAB kind of wants the industry to do what happened with Nielsen PPM encoding, where partnerships have resulted in the PPM now being built in to various products. Broadcast Engineering and IT Conference is already underway, but I want to call your attention to a block of 3 presentations on Monday afternoon on aspects of AM radio. The first is by John Keene, who's here in the room as well. The whole industry's here in the room. He has done a study to measure AM radio channel noise and signal strength on various road environments, ranging from rural to urban. He monitored unoccupied channels as well as active local AM stations as he was driving along. John found that there was a significant discrepancy between traditional predictions of AM ground wave field strength and the actual reception quality. Especially in urban areas, this is important. He found there's a substantial impact on reception when ground wave fields, actual fields, are combined with loss from building clutter and RF noise. And this can have an impact on the reception quality. So he'll talk about how to consider this when planning transmitter sites, among other things. Immediately after him on Monday is a talk by Bob Weller. NAB's engineers have been studying the possible effects on radio from wireless power transfer systems, like the ones in a garage or parking lot, but also like these newfangled ones that charge a moving vehicle through these elements that are embedded in the roadway. And the NAB engineers went to Detroit to look at a prototype installation there where there's a quarter-mile of road equipped with inductive charging coils that wirelessly charge the electric vehicles as they drive. So Bob will be talking about how these work and whether they might create interference for radio. And right after that, also tomorrow afternoon, David Maxson of Isotrope will discuss the high-efficiency broadband antenna, the HEBA. One of these has been operating for years during the daytime hours at WQVR in Massachusetts at 1 kilowatt power. The FCC recently granted the station nighttime approval, albeit at 4 watts. The antenna is 73 feet high, and the elements are stacked above a 40-foot square elevated ground plane. There are no ground radials. The antenna is said to be immune to seasonal tuning variations. Obviously, a potential of interest here, and this kind of topic has been of interest to engineers at least since the 1990s with the cross-field antenna. Rob Bertrand, are you in the room? I see him in the back. Rob gave a talk at the Public Radio Engineering Conference, and he was part of a panel of consulting engineers at the Ennis Workshop. Let's give a hand to Rob for that headline right there. Rob's career includes engineering roles at CBS Radio in New York and WAMU in Washington, and he knows of which he speaks. He's advocating a vision where engineers work together in different ways in groups outside of stations beyond just hanging out your individual shingle as an independent contractor. I shouldn't say just, but a different approach to this. Rob knows that radio needs to develop a new generation of talent, but it also needs to make sure engineers have job security and health benefits and retirement benefits. And he said the best way is to come together in teams to provide engineering as a service. Now, Rob recently joined Inrush Broadcast Services, and they're lucky to have him, but he was giving this idea a lot of thought even before he joined them. He's here today and very excited to talk about his idea, so grab him and share ideas. There was a recent LPFM window for new construction permits. There'll be a lot of new LPFMs coming on the band, and the SBE has put out another of its broadcast station self-inspection guides, this one's specific to LPFM. I talked about these guides last year, and a few people have commented to me how helpful they are. I got my hands on the one for FM and found it very instructive. It's a checklist. It's literally a checklist. You walk through your station, but it was also very educational to understand the state of the rules today. And this all replaced the old FCC self-inspection checklist. Free to members on the SBE website. One traditional part of the show that will not happen is the amateur radio reception. Several companies have supported the event over the years. This year, the most recent long-standing partner was not available to do so, and the organization said it is taking the opportunity to reinvent the reception for next year. So let's hope it comes back in some form. It certainly had the best door prizes of any event. Present company accepted, perhaps, but pretty darn good, let's just say. And a little taste of what's out on the show floor. American Amplifier Technologies, West Hall. They're showing a mobile app called Empower. It's intended to help broadcasters monitor and manage RF equipment. It helps track parameters like power levels, voltage, VisWR, and alarm status from your phone. It can send a customizable alerts whenever any parameter deviates from your own predetermined threshold. And they're promising some pretty awesome data capabilities and remote configuration capabilities. Again, that's AAT, which a couple of years ago acquired Shively, you may remember. They're in the West Hall. Also new on the RF side, a broadband FM antenna from Progressive Concepts called the Zyklone. It requires no tuning across the FM band. There are other models out there like this, but the company says it's notable that the frequency response is very flat across the entire band, no roll-off at either end, and thus loss of efficiency. It is, Progressive Concepts has been around for a while, but this is their first NAB, which we like to celebrate as an exhibitor, I mean. They are in the West Hall as well. Max Connect has released its first product from a collaboration with Audio Science. This is a streaming radio multi-tuner. It allows for up to 16 individual tuners in a single rack space, and it has separate antenna inputs for AM and FM/NOAA weather. And they're also capable of HD radio, so there's 4 different configurations. Each tuner has an embedded stream encoder, as well as dedicated balanced analog outputs in the Studio Hub format. And it's got cool features like silence detection and carrier loss detection with alerts that you can get by email or SMMP. So pretty good. 4 tuners start at about $2,800, but they can fit 16 into that rack. And if you know Josh Bone, you know he gets very excited telling you about stuff, so go see him in the Triple Helix Technologies booth in West Hall. Pardon me. More and more components are now in the cloud, or will be soon. Automation, mixing, processing, telephony. RCS has been preaching the benefits of the cloud for disaster recovery for quite a while now, but now the company's really leaning into emphasizing that Zeta Cloud is suitable as your full-scale, full-time, reliable playout solution. Hundreds of iHeart stations have already made that transition. Another big name is Marketron. It really recently announced it's uniting its cloud-based traffic and revenue system, Marketron Traffic, with Marketron NXT, which is its digital advertising platform. That component, again, of our business is more and more important. Broadcast Radio, they're an automation company from the UK. They're unveiling a cloud-based audio logging feature, part of the Myriad cloud radio platform, but they're also offering it as a standalone if you have another playout system. And the cloud is used by radio weather provider RTI Media. It offers the services called Weather Monster and Sunshine Weather. That's Bruce Robertson in the photo. He's at the show meeting with people by appointment. Radio Cloud will have some nice exposure. They have a partnership with Amazon Web Services. AWS, a big presence at this show, an important presence. They chose Radio Cloud as its automation and playout partner for radio for the show, and so the companies will show live radio production in the AWS Glass Studio in the West Hall. Pardon me. Over in the Telos Alliance booth, Omnia has released software updates to its Forza lineup. You may remember that Forza is delivered as a Docker container. It can be deployed on-prem as an off-the-shelf server, or in the cloud. Forza FM is for FM and HD1. Forza HDS is optimized for HD, DAB, and streaming. And they've made updates to both software packages. Now with the latest software updates, both of them have a stereo enhancer, both of them have Nielsen PPM encoding as an option, and Forza FM also has RDS standard. Still on the cloud theme, I love to celebrate first-time exhibitors. Media Realm from Australia is here, talking about Meta Radio, a tool for managing your song metadata. We talked about visual components earlier. This one manages metadata for RDS, HD radio, websites, streaming, and apps, and now it integrates HD artist experience. You can find Media Realm in the Broadcasters General Store booth, and they are in the North Hall. And still on the cloud theme, sports broadcasting, more important than ever. Utel is from Finland, and they've launched this extension of their own automation platform called Radio Man. It's called Lampu, or maybe I should pronounce that Lampu. It's available for Android and Apple, and as a browser-based tool. Basically helps you take the Radio Man platform and produce with a laptop, a headset, and a mobile phone, getting it out into the field. And I do have to give more of a nod to streaming. I mentioned Max Connect and Audio Science, but there's so many products out there now supporting what we do for streams and helping us to keep the quality high, which is a recurring theme that we hear about, how important it is not to forget to pay attention to that. Innovonics has a new generation of site streamers for remote signal monitoring called Site Streamer 2, web-enabled off-air receiver for remote signal monitoring of FM, AM, HD, and DAB. Innovonics, West Hall. And Summit Technology Group has a major update to its streaming platform called TundraCast. It now integrates with Triton Digital, important integration. Broadcasters using TundraCast can generate webcast metrics to help assure that streaming data is reported accurately. Summit has people both in the BGS booth in North and I believe in the Nautel booth in West. Wheatstone is in the West Hall. They've been busy developing some audio processors for streaming and on air. The Wheatstream Duo is a streaming appliance based in Linux. Hello, Linux fans. It includes processing to optimize the performance of encoded audio. It costs under $2,000, and it's compatible with standard CDNs and streaming platforms, and it can adapt metadata input from most playback automation systems. I got a demo of it yesterday from Jay Tyler. He was clearly very excited about this product. And meanwhile, the Neuron is a spectral audio processor for on-air applications. It takes a fresh approach to transient peak control, and the company is emphasizing its cost efficiency. Wheatstone is arguing that you no longer have to, and many companies can no longer afford to spend $10,000 or $15,000 on a high-end on-air processor, unless you're in the very biggest markets. Neuron costs about $4,600. Here's a peek at the cover of the next issue of Radio World. This is a big show for Paul Schulens. He will be honored on Tuesday with the NAB Radio Engineering Achievement Award. Paul, are you here? Do not see Paul. Be sure to congratulate him when you see him in the hall. He's worked as a radio engineer for 45 years. You may know him from his years at Greater Media in Boston, as an executive with Burke Technology, for his work with drones, maybe as a past president of the IEEE Broadcast Technology Society, his work with SBE, his work with the NAB Engineering Handbook, and his amazing astronomy photography. If you follow him on LinkedIn or social media, he does amazing astrophotography. Today, he's the owner of Over-the-Air RF Consulting, along with Jim Stenberg. But now I have to conclude with a sad note. Those of you who have attended this event in the past know I've often brought along a few t-shirts to give away. Doing so has caused me to dream that someday I'd have my own t-shirt gun, like the kind they use at baseball games. It always looks like so much fun when those young men and women from college are out there running around in their outfits, shooting t-shirts into the crowd. Thank you, everybody.